I'm Alan Silverman, and I'm a full-time mastering engineer here in New York, and have been so for a couple decades now. And I also teach mastering at NYU at the Clive Davis Institute and at Steinhardt Performing Arts Professions. And it's super fun. I'm here because I'm a real fan of HIFIMAN products. I've now begun to introduce them into my workflow. This was after meeting Fong through a mutual friend and becoming introduced to the company. And I started with just a little lowly model called the Sundara, which you wouldn't expect to do much at the price point, but it just blew my mind at how you didn't think of price when you heard it. It was just a glorious musical experience that was very surprising. And I began to use those alongside other phones. The fact is that headphones have become more important than ever in mastering, more than they ever used to be. Part of the reason for that is that so many people listen on earbuds, so it's important to get that perspective. But also, these newer phones based on magnetic planar designs, they create an involvement with the music that's really very intimate and very special that I'm not sure you can really get from speakers. So it creates that combination of not only the accuracy and the resolution, but that zhuzh, that you feel it, and that's what you want when you're working. If you're thinking when you're working, it's not happening, but if you're feeling it, that's great. And with the Sundaras, that happened instantly. And ironically, I've had people come to the studio, other engineers, musicians, and I use 3 headphones at once. Not at once, but simultaneously. I've got a dark pair, a neutral pair, and a bright pair, and I like to rotate around just to get the perspective. And the other 2 pairs are quite expensive. And people come and they'll try the 3 and I like these the best, and it's the Sundaras. So you're talking competing against something 10 times as much money? That's just a beautiful phone. So I've tried these, and I'm used to closed-back phones in mastering. That's what I'm used to. But before becoming a mastering engineer, I was a recording engineer for another 20 years, and I'm also doing some producing. So I work with a pretty well-known, iconic folk artist, Judy Collins, as producer, and we had a Grammy nominee in 2017 and one last year, well-known to all of us, our generation and newer generations. So I'm particularly interested in those for her, because she likes beautiful playback and she likes it to be crisp and bold, and from what I've heard of these so far, these are going to do the job. So I can't wait to get into session with her and try them out. But these, I think, will give you something we haven't had before in the studio, which is the sound isolation, which is why you need a closed-back design. In the studio, you need closed-back or else you get squeal through the microphone, because open back will bleed into the mic. So we need a closed-back design. We need a good level, but it's very hard to get that and quality also. Now, one of the keys to having a good performance from an artist is they need to feel inspired by what they're hearing in their cans. So these promise to do that, to meet the specs of the studio, which is loud and contained, but give the artist this incredible experience of empowerment and beauty and just, clarity. So we'll see how these affect performance. I have a really good feeling that we're going to get great takes with these.
My name is Rich Pagano, and I'm a New York drummer. I own a studio and I do a lot of production and mix work out of there, including drum sessions. And I'm also a songwriter with a body of work coming out this year. HIFIMAN Audivina. My good friend Adam invited me down. He knows that I'm always looking for a flat response pair of headphones for mixing, and I'm a big fan of HIFIMAN's product. I've tried them in the past, and I'm glad that they're finally making a flat response, because I can actually mix pro audio with these. Some of the records that I was testing these headphones on, I knew really well, and they revealed what's even wrong with the remastering of some of these releases. So I think these are going to be a wonderful component in mixing and the pro audio world, and also in the mastering world, for mastering engineers to have a set of these. And they may have their favorite pair of headphones, but then making sure that they throw these on and double check their mixes, I think would be a positive step in realizing their work. Well, they're super comfortable and they're beautiful with the wood grain on the side, but they're super musical in that they are flat response. So nothing is hyped on these headphones. They're not like wearing Beats. And it's a room that might not be tuned perfectly. When you throw these headphones on, you can tell immediately when you have too much high end, when you have too much mids or too little mids, and too much low end or too little low end. After you get it right on these headphones, then you go to your preferred or your consumer headphones and make sure it's right for the listener. But it's very important to start with these headphones in the mixing or mastering realm. You have to mix on headphones. You can't just mix on loudspeakers anymore because most people are listening with buds and headphones. So you have to get it right on headphones. And so this is going to be a wonderful component to, like I said, realize my mixes.
Hello, my name is Christopher Currell, and I welcome you here today. New products by HIFIMAN that I'd like to show to you. But first I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a musician, composer, synthesizer, programmer, engineer, producer, kind of do everything. And my whole life has been evolving around high quality audio. My ears are always demanding the best audio that I can find. And some of my previous work that I've done has always involved high quality audio. Probably the most popular artist that I've worked with that you probably all would be familiar with is Michael Jackson. And I worked with Michael Jackson for many years on the Bad album, Dangerous album, History album, and Bad World Tour. And my particular job was to be Michael Jackson's kind of musical translator. And I did this with a super synthesizer called the Synclavier. It was a supercomputer designed to create sound and music. And it was an instrument that was as big as a refrigerator. It was quite tall, computer monitor, everything. It was very expensive. You could buy a house for what this cost. But the audio quality was absolutely top-notch and still is today. And so my ears were always really tuned into the Synclavier. Michael and I just sat together and just wrote music at the Synclavier. So I'm very tuned into that level of quality. Everything was digital at the time, and we were way ahead of everybody else. And through time bringing up to present time, even today the Synclavier is considered one of the best sounding audio machines ever made. And it just had an amazing sound. It was quite unique. And so I've always had this idea, Synclavier, behind everything that I heard because the quality was my standard. And listening to other audio products over the years quite fell short in this regard. Some were okay, but sounded bright or brittle, or they lacked the punch or the clarity, until one day at, actually I think it was in the US, in Denver, when I first heard HIFIMAN products, some of their more high-end products, and I listened to headphones, and I was really quite surprised because I found this quality, this character that the Synclavier had, that HIFIMAN somehow captured in their amplifiers or their headphones, or a combination of them. So I was very, very interested. So bringing up into present time, I've kept contact with the company and listened to many products. And today, I was introduced to a new product that's come out, a headphone and amplifier system. It's very, very nice. And I was listening to it earlier, and it has this amazing quality. The sound is so spacious. I've done so much work with advanced audio, like 3D sound, so I'm very used to hearing things that are extremely spatial. And these headphones are quite amazing in this regard. They have a natural spatial quality that's really quite fun to listen to. And also, what's interesting about these headphones is they're closed. Now, I know a lot of people think that closed headphones seem to make the sound more compressed, but I think these days that kind of idea is gone. There's technology has gone ahead, because I don't feel that with these headphones at all. There's a lot of space. And I even played back some of my own 3D audio productions on here, and it's quite spectacular. Also, these headphones are the headband is leather, it's really nice, and the pads are really, really comfortable, and the whole headphone is very light, so it's very comfortable to wear. And I was really impressed with the sound quality of this headphone. Very natural all the way through the complete spectrum, including the bass. The bass is really solid. It has a balanced input here for a balanced headphone as well as your regular headphone. In the back, we have all our standard inputs that you would expect to see on a good quality amplifier, including Bluetooth. It has USB, USB-C, XLR inputs and outputs, and the quality of the design is very nice, It makes for a very nice product at home, but it's also very professional. And also, I really like this idea of you can just put the headphone right here when you're done. This is really quite cool. If you get the chance to check out, I would highly recommend it. The price point of this is quite good, and it won't break the bank, but at the same time, this is a professional product, so expect the quality to be very, very good.
So these are the new HIFIMAN Audivinas, are stunningly beautiful. I'm Chris Allen. I'm a recording, mixing, and mastering engineer based here in New York City. I'm the chief engineer of Sear Sound. It's the oldest studio in New York City. I've been there for 20 years. It started in the New York City apartment situation, trying to mix records that couldn't necessarily afford the studio. You can listen on speakers, but the neighbor's gonna start pounding on the wall at some point. And so I started getting used to spending a lot more time mixing on headphones. And that turned into a whole process now that I have my own space. Probably spend 2/3 to 3/4 of my time on speakers to start. And then I switched to headphones for all of the fine tuning. Finding noises, finding pops and clicks, bad edits, things that the headphones make much more obvious. Once I get used to the tonal balance of a set of headphones, it helps me a lot to shape the tonal balance of the track. Panning, I can be much more precise in my panning with a good set of headphones. You're not dealing with room reflections and all of the awkward, a straight representation of your sound, just coming straight to your ears. Huge fan of HIFIMAN. Huge fan. Audio 46, my favorite store in New York now. I wasn't even a big headphone user at that point, but I needed them. And he showed me every pair of headphones that anybody ever recommended to me. But it was when he pulled out the HIFIMAN Ananda that everything made sense. Just the detail retrieval, the imaging, the tonal balance, everything was amazing in a way that I had never experienced on any of the headphones I had ever purchased before. I spent about a year with those and got the urge to upgrade. And I went and I listened to everything again and went home with the Aria Stealth. And it's just something about the tuning that HIFIMAN does that just makes so much sense to me. You hear every mouth noise, every pop, every click, every bad edit, every bad fade. You hear every single detail. So by the time you're done with a mix, there's nothing wrong. You've found it all. And it takes a pair of headphones at this level to find that, to actually achieve that.